All right, a lot of people have been asking me, now that we have won our pro card, now that the show is over, what are the next steps and how am I going to be approaching this next stage for my own bodybuilding career? First and foremost, I view myself as a coach and not really an athlete, in the sense that I know there's going to be people that I coach that can do much better in bodybuilding than me in the long run. Of course, I still want to be the best athlete I can for myself. I have goals. I want to see what I can accomplish, and I want to see how much I can push you guys to show what is possible as a natural athlete, because I am the only one that I can 100% confirm is natural, because you don't have every single second of every single day with another person, unless somebody's pinning me in my sleep, which, you know, I hope not. But that's the only way you can confirm that somebody is 100% natural. So for me, I view this as, okay, what can I accomplish to show you guys what's possible? Now, obviously, you guys will have different genetics than me. Some of you will have better genetics for muscle building. Some of you will have better genetics for insertion. Some of you will have worse genetics for muscle building. Some of you will have worse genetics for insertions. But no matter what, no matter who, you can accomplish a very solid physique if you put in the time and you put in the effort. And that's what I'm going to try and show to you guys, which means that I have to approach this off season with actual dedication and care to the process. So if I wanted to be just somebody who is competing all the time, looking good for Instagram all the time, sure, it might make sense to compete in a year. Stay lean, just not really put on that much muscle, but come back and try and win some more shows and give you guys some show content. That's not what I'm gonna do. What I am going to do is I'm going to take a long, dedicated off season. And I want to show you guys exactly what that looks like, or at least what it's going to look like in the beginning. So first things first, after show, what did I do? After show, I took and I said, you know what? I am not in a healthy state. My testosterone is low. My hormones are low. You need to get those back into place, which means that I did overfeed for the last little while. And when I say overfeed, I'm not saying stupid. I'm not saying I was eating everything in sight and who cares whether it's healthy food or unhealthy food. No, but I definitely did eat above my maintenance, because eating at maintenance when you're around that well under 10% body fat, it's not a healthy state to be in. You want to get your body weight up, or at least your body fat up, pretty quick. So for a couple days, I allowed myself to eat a little bit more. You guys obviously saw Thanksgiving. I ate a lot of calories on Thanksgiving, but I ate relatively moderate up to that point in order to make sure it wasn't just a surplus built on top of another huge surplus. So what I'm sitting at right now is around 188 pounds, I believe. Leading into peak week, I was just under 180. Fully dehydrated, I got down to, I think, 173. So my actual weight was around 178. 177, 179, that range. So I'm up approximately 8 to 10 pounds, which is a good state for me to be in and a good state for me to start building. My workouts are getting better. I'm feeling more energetic, more motivated. And now is time for me to say, okay, we're going to be in a surplus, but we're not going to go anything crazy. So I'm starting my calories off at approximately 3,000. Now, if you guys paid attention to my last bulk, you saw that my calories got up into the 4,000, and they probably will again eventually. But in the beginning, if I was to jump straight up to the 4,000s right now, I'd put on a whole bunch of unnecessary fat. It's not about health at that point. That would just be me eating for no reason. So as long as I'm in a slight surplus, I'm going to be happy with that. So 3,000 calories to start. The majority of the excess calories that I will consume will cover carbohydrates to support the workouts, and I will also be timing those carbohydrates for before my workouts rather than after, in order to get the best performance benefits out of that. Doesn't mean I'll have no carbs after my workouts, but the majority of them are going to be oriented towards enhancing my performance. Yeah. As far as supplementation, nothing too crazy. I'll be taking creatine regularly, multivitamin, pre-workout, protein powder. Not really so much, especially in an off season, because my calories are going to be high enough that I'm going to be getting plenty of protein through other sources. So whey protein kind of falls by the wayside for the most part. EAAs, not as much as during prep, again, simply because I'm going to be getting lots of protein, lots of support there. I'll probably still have some here and there just to make digestion a little bit smoother before workouts, stuff like that. Cardio, significantly down. I'll probably still do some level of cardio, but not near as much as during prep. And then everything is going to be geared towards how much muscle can I put on. So I'm not going to be quite as specific about trying to bring up certain muscle groups as I was before. So for example, you guys know my triceps, strong body part for me, which meant that I pretty much neglected them for months leading into show, even almost a full year leading into show, because I had other body parts that I needed to bring up to match. Whereas now that I'm going to be having a longer off season, and when I say longer off season, we're talking possibly years. Possibly 3 years plus, maybe 2 years. Pretty much promised myself at this point that if I'm gonna step on stage again, I want to be up by approximately 10-ish pounds of lean mass. So in order for me to do that, that's not gonna be a year-long process. I cannot put on 10 pounds of lean mass over the next year, unfortunately. Or at least I definitely can't put on 10 pounds of lean mass in the time that it would take to bulk up and then cut back down. So it's gonna take at least a couple years, if not a few years, for me to come anywhere near achieving that. If I do, there's always the possibility that you don't accrue mass as quickly as you want to. So my goal in the long run is to step on stage in the mid 180s. Ultimately, I would like to push that natty limit and see if I could get to 190 on stage, but I don't know if that's in the books for me. Obviously, I'm not 20 years old. I am 29, which means that the amount of muscle that I've built up to this point, it's going to be diminishing over time. It's obviously diminishing even when you're 21, but at this point for me, in the 190s, it probably isn't realistic, but even a 185-pound look on stage, I would be so ecstatic with if I could bring that, as opposed to what I had this year, which was approximately 173 to 175, depending on when I weighed during the day. But yeah, that would be my ideal. Now, obviously, you can't choose exactly where muscle goes. The things I'm trying to bring up the most, if possible, would be lats, chest, biceps to some degree, but they didn't fare too bad on stage. And then just overall leg development. I felt like the overall shape and aesthetic of my leg wasn't too bad this past show. Glutes is a big one for me. I feel like they can come up quite a bit. Overall, I'm just basically trying to pack on as much mass as possible. Now, does that mean I'm going to be stupid about my diet? Absolutely not. I'm not going to just get fat immediately. I am going to be putting on fat though. And this is something that I want you guys to understand, because I think far too often people think they can have everything all at once. And if you want to be serious about this sport, if you want to get into the level, to your top level, you have to be willing to take periods of time where you don't look your absolute best. Now, you could still look good to the general public. You could still look like a good, healthy person. You don't have to go full bear mode, that Photoshop pic of Jay Cutler in order to pack on muscle. But at some level, you're probably gonna have to put on a little bit more fat than you're necessarily comfortable with. Lose a little bit of that ab definition. Chest won't pop quite as much because you'll have a little bit of fat coming under here. It's just a part of the process, guys. And if you want to be a bodybuilder, you have to accept that. If you want to be an Instagram model, okay, maybe you can stay a little bit leaner. But my goal is not to be an Instagram model. My goal is, how can I show you guys what's possible in the future? And maybe when I'm in my 40s, 50s, when there's not really that possibility to put on as much mass, maybe then I settle down at a little bit leaner body fat and kind of hold from there. But until that point, I want to see what I can do. I want to see how far I can take this. If you guys have anything that you took a look at, any questions that you had about the show process in general, about off seasons, I am going to be documenting everything about my journey. I'm going to be helping you guys out. Obviously, this YouTube channel is relatively new and you guys have been awesome about your support. I'm going to have the Echo podcast that I'm running. There is going to be so much happening in the future, and you guys have made this all possible. So I thank you guys so much for everything that you've done, your support, your you don't realize how much it means to me when you guys make simple, like even the simplest of comments, like you've inspired me to do X or lose 10 pounds, or I get these messages from you guys and it warms my heart. Honestly, I could not have done any of this without you guys, but I want to continue to provide you guys with the absolute best content and show you guys what's possible, not just from a personal standpoint, but hopefully help you guys maximize your progress as well. So I'm super excited for this next stage in the journey. And if you have any questions, drop them down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, anything to help the algorithm. And together we're going to grow. Let's do it. TNFO.